Greetings, everybody. Nina from Beyond Truth here, and welcome to another show. Tonight we have a special guest. His name is Lester Velez. But before I get to his bio, welcome, Robert. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing really good. I can't wait to get into this show because some of my favorite subjects is what he's going to be talking about: UFOs, MUFON, all these special projects, paranormal. I can't wait to hear what he's got to say. I'm
I
so
know, me
excited.
too. Me too. So we might as well just dive right into it, guys. Make sure you hit that thumbs up and share this out, okay? Now, Lester Velez is a graduate of the University of Vermont with a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration. Beginning in September of 1970, he served in the United States Army as a field artillery officer and was later vice president of Luscombe Engineering, a Silicon Valley-based manufacturer's representative company. He joined MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, in 1991 and has held the following positions: field investigator, training coordinator for field investigators, the assistant state director in Northern California, chairman of the A.E.R.C, which is Abduction Experiencer Research Committee, a team leader of the A.R.T, which is Abduction Response Team. Also during that time, he became a facilitator for an abduction support group in San Jose, California, and in 1994 co-founded OPUS, the Organization for Paranormal Understanding and Support. Wow, without further ado, welcome, Leslie. How you doing?
Good, gang. I'm glad I'm here. Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, I'm glad that you're here too. We had some technical difficulties as usual, but here we are. We're ready to go, and I can't wait to hear all about what you got for us tonight, Lester.
You got it. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. So maybe you want to introduce us a little bit more than what we just did here. I mean, you got so much. Maybe just a brief introduction, I guess.
Yeah, well, I guess the way to start this conversation is how I got involved in the field to begin with. Actually, it started when I was 11 years old, and I was living in Connecticut, and it was, I think it was 1958 that I was coming back in the house after feeding my dog. This was late October, and it was already getting dark, and I looked off to the right as I was coming into the house, and here's this object just slowly meandering over the tree line. It was like self-illuminated. It was totally quiet, no noise whatsoever. It wasn't a balloon. It was a solid object, and it scared the heck out of me. And I ran into the house to try to get my father to come out. And by the time I convinced him to come on out, it was gone. And he said, "Oh, it was probably just a beacon of light reflecting off a cloud, or, from some light source somewhere." Well, I didn't buy that. And so I went to the library soon thereafter and picked up some books on UFOs. And back in those days, George Adamski was the big celebrity talking about his contact with the Venusians and being on board their craft and things of that nature. And of course, he had some incredible photographs that he had taken through his telescope of these craft. So I really got all pumped up about it and was really into it for a while. And then got a little bit older, and life brings different changes, and I got a little bit more interested in the opposite sex other than UFOs, and kind of forgot about it for a while and went off to college eventually. And as you said, at the University of Vermont. And I was a member of the ROTC program. And so when I graduated, I had a 2-year active commitment and a 4-year reserve commitment. And I finished that off. And when I graduated, I ended up working for Procter & Gamble and selling their health and beauty aids products. And so I did that for a while. And then I kind of decided I didn't want to do that anymore and got involved with the electronics industry. And in 1985, I moved from Connecticut, where I was living, and moved out to San Jose, California. And I was working for this manufacturer's rep company, Luscombe Engineering, as you mentioned. And one day I picked up the San Jose Mercury News, and a nuclear physicist by the name of Stanton Freeman was coming to talk at San Jose City College about UFOs and a government cover-up. Well, guess what? It was like somebody threw a switch, and I said, "Oh my God, I got to go see this guy." So when I had my experience when I was 11, got interested for a while, and then kind of just faded away. And then now in 1985, this thing happened, and I went to the San Jose City College to hear him speak, and I figured there'd be a handful of people there. Well, the auditorium was full. It must have been like 300 people there listening to him, and he gave one of his inimitable presentations, fabulous, showing a lot of redacted pages that the CIA provided. And on my way out, I stopped by this table that MUFON had in the foyer. They were talking about what they did, and they have a monthly journal. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to get this monthly journal, and talking about the various cases that they get involved with. So that was okay for a while, but then it just wasn't enough for me. And so found out that they had a field investigator training course. And I decided to take that course and passed the exam and became a field investigator. And that's when things got very interesting, because the cases that I got involved with, and by the way, I was very much a nuts and bolts kind of a guy. I wanted to know how these things operated. I wanted to, see how, if we did understand how they operated, what a fantastic thing this would be for humanity, to be able to utilize whatever forces that they were using to the benefit of humanity. And that's kind of the mission statement of MUFON, to try to better understand the phenomena for the benefit of humanity. And so the first case I got involved with a senior member, because I went out with this senior member for a number of cases to get started. This person said, well, I had this sighting, and we talked about the sighting for a while and the description of it. And then the person said that I also had contact with a non-human intelligence. And of course, that terminology wasn't used back in those days, but that seems to be the key buzzword these days, non-human intelligence. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they met an alien, and I was very skeptical. I was extremely skeptical. Because as I said, I was kind of a nuts and bolts kind of a guy. And so the second case came along. Person said basically the same thing, that I saw this object, and then later on I had contact with these beings. And so that prompted me to start thinking about the fact that, well, there's seems to be something real going on here. These people seem to be very sane. Most of them didn't want to really talk about it in fear of being ridiculed, but needed to get it off their chest, so to speak. And so, and this happened, time and time again. And so finally, one day, one of these experiencers, as I call them, said, did I know of other people having similar experiences? And I said, yes, I do. Next thing I know, I'm facilitating a support group. Well, that's when things got very interesting, because the stories that these people were telling me were just incredible. And I learned so much just listening to them about what was going on. Whether from the psychological standpoint, from the physical standpoint, the effects that it had on them physically and mentally. And one day I got a call from the international director of MUFON saying that there was a reporter in my area that wanted to talk about UFOs and whether or not he could give this reporter my contact information. And so I said, sure, absolutely. So the reporter came out, and he basically did a great job. It was published in the Monterey Coast Weekly paper. As a matter of fact, my head was on the front of the paper. And, looking up in the sky, one of those kind of shots. And so shortly thereafter, I got a call from a woman down in Carmel, California, that had seen the article. And she said to me, she says, I would really like to understand what's going on with my brain when I'm in contact with these off-earthly entities. And I'm saying to myself, okay, how am I going to, work with her and help her in some way, shape, or form? So then she said she was working with an emergency room doctor down in Carmel, and that piqued my interest immediately, because I had a doctor friend of mine, Dr. Eugene Lipson, who unfortunately has passed away a number of years ago, that was interested in meeting other doctors that were interested in the phenomena. So I called him up and I said, hey, why don't we go down there and see this person, and you can meet the doctor as well, and we'll see what we can find out. And where do we go? And okay, we went down there. Everything's changed.
Well, it is Mercury retrograde right now, so I don't know. We can blame it on that, but
okay.
There we go.
So anyway, we went down there, and as we walked into her house, we noticed this picture on the wall, and she's standing on the back of this vessel in beautiful, crystal clear blue water. And I said, what's that about? It's a nice picture. What you doing down there? And she said, well, I was helping these treasure hunters. And I said, really? And I said, how are you helping these treasure hunters? She says, well, I was in contact with the captain of the galleon that had gone down. And that blew our minds right there. And we said that's pretty incredible. And we found out subsequently that after a near-death experience that she had, she became very psychic and telepathic. And she started having these connections with these off-earthly entities as well. So that started off the afternoon, and it got even more incredible later on, because she started telling us stuff about ourselves that we had never met her before, didn't know her from Adam. She didn't know us from any which way other than reading the article that was in the that the reporter had written up. But so we were just blown away that afternoon, and we came away with the thought that if we're going to help people like this, we're going to have to put an organization together. And so in 1994, we came up with the name OPUS, the Organization for Paranormal Understanding and Support, which is now, this was in 1994, as I said, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization recognized by the IRS, which always cracks me up. Paranormal and the IRS. I don't know how that goes together, but anyway. So and so now we've been basically doing what we're doing for over 30 years, and so trying to help experiencers with these extraordinary experiences that they're having, because as you're quite well aware, these can be quite disturbing, and most people don't want this out there, obviously, because they're afraid of the ridicule that they might get. A lot of times they can't talk to family members because they don't want to hear about it. They can't talk to clergy about it. They can't talk to fellow workers. So it puts them in a real predicament where they need to be able to talk to somebody. And so that's what we finally did, is to come up with this organization, and we do 3 different things now for people, excuse me, that we find has been very helpful. Number one, and probably the most helpful, is the confidential online support group, where we have over 500 people right now actively involved in conversations 24/7 with one another about their experiences. And these are people from all over the world. We have people from Europe, from South America, from Asia, from Australia. It's a worldwide phenomena. And so I'm going to back up a little bit here and talk about one of the experiences that occurred during one of the support group meetings. We had a couple, and this couple is in my book, The Unknown Other and the Existential Proposition of Alien Contact, which you can get on Amazon. They were picnicking in a state park north of Santa Cruz, California, and they were coming out. It was getting to be dusk, and they noticed this light over the ocean, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger until it was over their head. And it was a triangular craft, about the size of a small Learjet, and totally quiet. You know, it had lights on each of the apexes of the triangle, and it slowly moved into a canyon behind them. They noticed another light over the ocean, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger until it was over their head, and it was the same type of a craft. And the first one, they felt, you know, they were looking at it. The second one, they felt it was looking at them, and they got frightened. And this craft again went into the canyon behind them, and it happened. There was 5 more lights out there on the ocean, but at that point, they felt like they were like going on automatic in an automatic mode, so to speak, and they felt that they started to float a little bit, and they were going down this path, by the way, and I went up there with them afterwards to check it out. Even during the day, it's very dark and it's rocky, and so it's not easy to navigate down through there. But they felt like they were just floating down through there. And they finally got to their car, and then that's the last thing they remember until 3 hours later. They ended up at a restaurant that I frequented many times, which is only like about 10 minutes away from that park. And they had no recollection of what happened for those 3 hours. You know, missing time, the classic missing time scenario. And so when they finally came to the support group meeting, they had developed a rash after this experience. And they went to their doctor, and they tried to figure out what it was. And there's poison ivy and poison oak up in there. So, you know, right away they were thinking maybe that's what it was, but it wasn't. It wasn't that. And they had gone to one doctor, and then they went to, I guess they went to his doctor first and then her doctor. And anyway, neither doctor could figure out what kind of rash it was. They had not seen a rash like that. Well, they had taken pictures of it, and they brought it to the support group meeting. And they showed it around the room, and almost without exception, everyone in the group said that at one time or another, they had a very similar rash. Well, the next part that was talked about was really quite interesting. One of the people in the group said, I'm pretty sure I know what it's from. And so we all, you know, with our mouths open, so, oh, really? What do you think it is? Well, it's the reaction to the fluid that they dip you in when they bring you on board the craft to sanitize you. So now the story gets even more interesting. Okay, this happened over, well, not quite 30 years ago. And I got a call from them about 3 months ago. And the woman now consciously remembers that she was dipped in something on board the craft. I mean, for me, that was such a revelation that now naturally it bubbled up in her mind that this actually happened. So that and that story is in the book, and with more detail, obviously. But these are the kind of things that really blow your mind. And our organization, as I said, the support group has turned out to be probably one of the best things, because these people then know that they're not alone, that they have other people that have had similar circumstances in their lives. And I have a theory, okay, which this goes back to another support group meeting, and I'll tell you that story first before I tell you the other part. One day, one of the people in the support group came up to me afterwards. I've seen you before. I said, really, at a UFO conference? And no, I saw you on board the craft. I said, really? Oh, and I kind of blew it off. I didn't think much about it. And it was like a year and a half, 2 years later, someone totally different came up to me afterwards and said the same thing. I've seen you before. And I said the same thing, like a UFO conference, gas station, grocery store, I don't know. And no. You were sitting naked on this bench on board the craft, and you were freaking out, and they told me to go over to you to calm you down. Well, at that point, I decided, okay, I'm going to go get regressed, because I have no conscious recollection of it at all. Mm-hmm. And which it might be a good thing. And so I got regressed 3 different times, and I found that multiple past lives. And so I didn't find out anything along the line of being on board a craft. And then again, through a subsequent conversation I had with another person, said, well, maybe somehow that this person tuned into a past life that you had where you were abducted and put on board a ship. And one of the things about this phenomena is that time and space is so malleable that, you can be taken before you come back. The juxtaposition, I just read an article today, I think it was, about physicists have broken the speed of light ability, I guess, factor. And that this light actually came back before it left. And I mean, these are the kind of crazy things that you're starting to hear physicists talk about. So I think almost anything is possible. And what I was referring to as far as my theory is the fact that I think that our conscious protects us in a lot of ways, but I think all of us have had an experience, whether we consciously remember it or not. And I think this is part of the plan that our friends, if we want to call them our friends, have in mind to basically move us along the evolutionary path, move us into another dimension eventually. So it gets to be quite complicated, and I certainly throw that out as a theory, of course, that we've all had an experience, whether we consciously remembered or not. But some of the research that we've done back in 2007, MUFON actually paid us to do a research program where we took 71 experiencers and 51 people as a control group, and we subjected them to 9 different psychological tests, and we found out that none of these people, including the experiencers or the control group, had a psychopathology. They were not fantasy prone, which a lot of debunkers talk about, the fact that people are fantasy prone, and that their worldview certainly changes after this dramatic experience that they've had, and they all come back almost without exception with a different worldview, and the fact that we need to be better stewards of the planet, We need to be more loving. We need to be better to one another. These are all very positive types of things. And hopefully, someday we're going to reach critical mass and we're going to wake up and, oh my God, why are we having a war? We shouldn't have wars anymore. That's ridiculous. We should be better to one another. Let's party. Let's have fun. I mean, let's take care of each other. So I think that's the process that's going on right now. And there's factions, of course, just like we have good people and bad people on this plane. I the same thing going on up there. And there's been many stories about the fact that we've got some aliens that want to help us and some of them that don't want to help us. And so that whole factor that's going on. But getting back to what we do as an organization, besides the support group, which is probably one of the best vehicles of help that we can give them, we also have a referral network of mental health practitioners and hypnotherapists that we can refer people to if they so desire. And then we have the third group that we have is our triage group. These are people that are very familiar with many of these topics. And when a person comes to us, they have two choices on our website. You can immediately request to go into the support group, or you can ask one of our triage people to contact them, or both. You can do both. And so, matter of fact, I got one today. The person wants to have someone contact them and talk to them, and that's a really good vehicle, because then we find out really what's going on with them and how best to help them. So that's proved to be very good. Now, one of the other things that we found out in that study that we did, it was called the Omega study. If you go to our website, opusnetwork.org, you can see the conclusion of the study. It's 28 pages long of what we did, the vehicles that we used to give to these people test-wise, and the results that we had. And one of the interesting results was that their temporal lobe activity, the experiencers, was different than the control group. And this goes to the fact that there's some really interesting studies going on, like with Gary Nolan from Stanford University, where he took a group of experiencers, and they found out that there's, in the area of the caudate and putamen, there was a lot more connections in their brain, and compared to non-experiencers, and that this was generational. That if the children had that problem or issue, not an issue, it's not a problem, this condition that their parents did, or their grandparents might have had it. And one of the things that Gary Nolan said that, supposedly our genome changes about every 600,000 years and mutates. And he said, geologists say that the planet is 4.5 billion years old. Well, in order for us to be where we are right now, the planet would have to be 9 billion years old if it was through a natural progression of 600,000 years. However, he says that there must have been some manipulation going on way back when in order for us to be here at with the conditions that we have right now versus the 4.5 billion years. So it's really interesting information that he put out there. I thought that was quite interesting to have us, if the geologists are right at 4.5 billion, then somebody must have messed with our genes way back when. And they're following it. They're following that whole progression through time, and it will continue to do that. So, yeah, it's and some of the other things too that if you talk about some of the things that people have brought about, when you talk to an experiencer, they have marks on their bodies. They have implants. And the late Dr. Roger Lear famously did surgeries on 17 people, and they removed these implants. And the interesting part about these implants, it's just phenomenal. There's no inflammatory rejection reaction by the body to these foreign objects. Now, you get a splinter in your finger, you feel it. It's no fun. There's no visible portal of entry. Collections of specialized nerve endings surrounding the object. An outer coating of ceramic biological material, a metallic phase where inorganic metal becomes biological tissue. The emission of radio waves, which are deep space frequencies in the FM band. So who's listening? Why is that going out there? Electromagnetic fields in excess of 10 milligauss. Composition of meteoric iron, 66. Rare earth metals such as U-236, a single isotope of uranium existing by itself, as well as elements such as uridium, which is really rare and hard to find in the Earth's crust. Now, this one is interesting. Non-terrestrial isotopic ratios indicating that the involved elements do not come from Earth. So how come there's not been more information put out there about this? It's out there, but it's no big deal. It's almost like there's a conscious dissonance that's going on with the population, and I can't blame people. I mean, because most people have to get up in the morning, they got to go to work, they come home at night, they have a beer, they watch a little TV, they go to bed. The next day they do the same thing over and over, and they got to do that because they got to take care of the family. That makes a lot of sense. But for people like myself and you all, that we have the opportunity or to be able to do things like this and to be more concerned about these kind of things. So, and it goes on. I mean, he did a fabulous investigation of these implants, and he had very prestigious labs look at all this stuff, and so that is just a tremendous thing. And again, all of that is in the book as well. One of the things we talk about debunkers all the time, and I mentioned earlier that these people did not have fantasy proneness, and studies such as the omega-3 study, which I mentioned earlier, found fantasy proneness does not play, and other studies does not seem to play any role in what these people are experiencing. Now, people also talk about, debunkers also talk about false memory syndrome. The American Psychological Association or any other mainstream psychological diagnostic system has either ratified or proven such a diagnosis. And then the big one that they always talk about is sleep paralysis. Well, 2/3 of all cases, whether in the bedroom or not, did not involve sleep paralysis. So it's just aggravating as hell when you start hearing things like this when they don't really know. Stanton Friedman talked about the fact that these guys they don't know anything, but they just throw out stuff to please somebody, whoever that might be the CIA, the DIA, whoever. It's pretty amazing. So, anyway.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. Now, I'm sure you've seen Trump's latest tweet there about.
Oh, yeah, sure.
What do you think of that?
Well, it's just a distraction. Once again, one of his abilities to distract away from the real stuff that's going on. I mean, all this stuff is, you've got two main factions going on in the government. You got the group that wants it to come out, and you got the group that doesn't want it to come out. And most of the people in the government that don't want it to come out believe that this is demonic and that we shouldn't mess with it. Right. But I have no trust whatsoever in our government right now as it stands. Absolutely none. I think you and I and
everyone, I think. Yeah, I know. Now, group, don't want this to come out is probably the more religious groups, because that goes against their religion. It goes against what their Bible tells us. So,
Well, what's funny about that is the Bible is full of UFO stories.
It is, I know. But you can't tell them that, though. You can't tell them that.
It's like so. People have asked me, what happens if we actually, let's say Trump comes out to the podium and says, yeah, they're here, and here's a picture of my buddy here, Nanu Nanu or whatever.
Yeah.
And, I think 70%, maybe even a higher percentage of people say, oh, yeah, I knew that. Yeah, sure. Okay, big deal. So what? And then maybe 25 to 30% are going to freak out because they have such twisted religious views.
Yeah. Well, it's not only that it's scary that something new is here. It's just that, everything I used to believe in is crumbling now. There's proof that it's not true. So, yeah, that's
even the aliens talk about the fact that there is a God.
Okay.
Yeah, they do. In many, many cases that people have had conversations with these entities, that they've also said the fact that there is a God.
So as in a God, as in the creator of the universe, or just some dude that made us in the lab?
No, the creator of the universe type of a thing. The one being that, or that entity. Then we start talking about consciousness, and that we're all connected. So, people talk about the fact we are God because we're all connected. so.
Yeah.
But those people don't say that, one they don't come back saying, oh, this one and is right versus another religion is right. They just say that there's a creator out there, or conscious, or we're all created. It's not one or the other. Whereas here on the planet, we're all divided yet. And I think this is where ETs, or whatever you want to call them, they only contact one person at a time, or so. They don't make themselves like on national TV. They're not landing on the White House lawn like they show in the movies, because that, I think, would be destructive. They contact people who are open to it, or acceptable, or in a line of a family line. It seems like does it not? Is this been the thing where if somebody gets, you've been into this, if someone gets abducted, is their family members been abducted too? Is this a family thing?
Yes, definitely. It can be very generational, from one generation to the next, within families. I mean, we've had many parents call me about the fact that, hey, these aliens are starting to abduct my children, and how can I stop it? It's scenarios like that. But yeah, it's an incredibly complex phenomena that we're dealing with. So I think that we're going to eventually, learn a little bit more as we move forward. But we still have a lot to learn. Sure.
Well, there's lots of media coming out now. There's a movie coming out for the spring equinox. That's called, so what is it called again? I think I texted it to you there, Robert, but it's about a guy that meets an alien. Can't remember what they're calling it now. And then Spielberg's
movie.
Spielberg's movie is coming out on my birthday, which is mid-June, and that one is full disclosure. So, there's several movies coming out here this year about disclosure and all of this. And then from what I hear is that Trump is going to release something big in July. So this is going to be the summer of aliens, everybody. So
yeah.
Is this sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, is it you believe if this is that this is leading up to that they give this information in movies and TV to make us passive to the fact that when they come out and say, hey, yeah, we've really been in contact with aliens, or we do have space saucers, or the government has been trading information, that we're all like, yeah, okay, it's good. You know, we sit back and do nothing, or we, instead of panicking in the streets, I should say.
Yeah, I think, going back to what you had said, Robert, about the fact that why haven't they landed on the White House lawn?
Well, they did,
I
didn't
think, well, yeah. The day the Earth stood still, right? That's when that happened. No, I think that they, according to Haim Eshed, this Israeli general that wrote a book a couple of years ago about the fact that, we are in contact with the aliens, and they basically said that we're not ready for them to tell, to expose themselves, so to speak. But that's, and this was a well-respected general. I mean, this guy is not somebody that is just writing books just for sensationalism. I mean, he supposedly had a lot of good information, and he said there's bases on the moon, there's bases on Mars, and we've been there. We've got this, it's interesting about our Space Force, how that came up. So we're getting closer. I mean, this year with the congressional hearings and everything, the revelations that have come out. I had lunch with Lou Elizondo right before COVID shut everything down. He was here in my area interviewing Terry Lovelace for the show Unidentified, which that interview never got aired because I think they were trying to stick to the nuts and bolts type of a scenario, as opposed to abductions, getting involved with abductions, which a lot of these people in the support group are kind of pissed off about, because how come they're not talking about us people that are getting abducted? We know a lot of stuff. Why don't you talk to us? Well, guess what? The government is talking to them. Maybe not to these particular people in the support group, but they know a hell of a lot more that they're not coming out with. And during that luncheon, Lou said that they have a pretty good handle on how these craft actually operate. That they create a bubble around the craft that basically defies space and time, with a very small energy source. And he said it wasn't element 115. So it's fascinating. It's absolutely I mean, I just get blown away every day by the things that come out. And we're getting closer. We're getting closer. And Obama said, they're real, but he had to walk it back a little bit. But I mean, Grush, talked about the fact that, hey, yeah, we got alien bodies, we got craft, and just a matter of time when all of this comes out. But and goes back to good old Eisenhower saying that, beware of the military industrial complex, because that's where all the goodies are. You can't get it through a FOIA request, which, because they're not governmental.
Now, do you know who they are? Like, did they identify as what race or what beings they are?
Oh, well, there's supposedly many races that have visited us. But the main ones seem to be, the grays, the tall, short grays, the reptilians, the Nordics, the mantid type, and our military. I mean, people ask me, well, are they extraterrestrial? Are they interdimensional? Are they time travelers? Is it our military? Well, I believe it's all the above, and anything else you can think of. Mm-hmm. It's a very complex reality. We're here talking right now. This is our reality right here. But there's a lot else going on, and probably many realities that exist, whether it's dimensional in nature, talk about string theory and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got a question on the, with the government or these abductees or people who had experiences. I think the government has to be in on that or contacting these people, like you said. Some of them are probably getting questioned. There was an interview with Chris Bledsoe.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He was just on Y-Files, and he was talking about the experience of, like you talked about. He's seen it, he got abducted, and then soon after he got to speak with them, and so forth and so on. And after his experiences, he said, no, but first people didn't believe him. And then the government contacted him, and they were talking to him. And I'm thinking, okay, so if nobody around you believes you, but the government's there talking to you, asking you what you've seen and what you know, then maybe it's not so far-fetched. What do you say to that?
I mean, the bottom line is that I talked to Chris Bledsoe's son. As a matter of fact, I interviewed him, and you can find those interviews on YouTube. If you go to OPUS Separate Word Network, I have multiple interviews there, and I talked to him at length. And I mean, Chris went through hell with this whole process, and didn't have a very good experience with MUFON at one point. Then the federal government got involved, the CIA, the DIA, you name it, letters, three-letter organizations. But the bottom line is they believe him, and he's able to call in these things. He has that capability. So, I firmly believe that he's got a unique ability, and it'd be interesting to see what's going on in his head, literally. Take some MRIs or CT scans or whatever you have to do to see what's going on in his head, whether or not he's got more connections in that caudate putamen area.
Is he just a unique individual experience, or are there other people out there doing the same thing?
Oh, exactly. Well, this is an interesting point. These people that have these connections in that area, they connect with other people that have the same kind of thing going on, whether they're family related or not. And I think what you're actually observing with these people is the next evolutionary step for humanity, that we'll have the capability to telepathically communicate, to be more psychic in nature, and that you and I that don't have that, of course I'm saying you don't have it, but I definitely don't have it, but that we will disappear, and so that those people will take over the next step in the evolutionary process.
Where do you see us going? Like, what do you think our evolution is, where we're heading?
Well, I think hopefully in a positive direction, that, with people being abducted. I mean, the Roper organization back in 1992 did a survey, and they said back then that there was like 6 million people just here in the United States that had experiences. Well, this is a worldwide phenomenon, and you move forward in time, how many more people have been visited, whether they consciously remembered or not? But subconsciously, probably their worldview is starting to change because of it. And I've always felt, and it might have been because of my experience, that, wars are just a waste of time in lives. That we need to be better to one another, and be more loving. So I think that we're going to go to that point, and one day there will be a critical mass reached that will move to that next phase in our lives where we're not having wars, we're not tribal anymore. We can communicate with one another telepathically and know that, whatever it is that, you may be thinking, and the next person may pick up on it or may not, depending upon how you handle it. And that could be a problem, because empaths, I've talked to a number of empaths that really have hard times because they go into a store and right away they're starting to get feedback. from people that's next to them and everything. And some of it's not really good. Hold on
I
a
was
second.
going to say, yeah, I mean, transparency might not be a bad thing, but it could be a bad thing, I guess, if there's still people with, bad intentions. So,
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I had that exact situation. I did a 3 or 4 day fast or something like that, and then I started feeling. I'd go to the grocery store and it was like, oh my gosh, everything's crazy here, And I was picking up on a lot of stuff, which, oh boy.
Yeah.
The bigger question is okay. So I have an experience. I see something or whatever. What should I do with this information? How do I report it? What should I do? Should I just keep quiet, not tell anybody? Should I tell my relatives? Call the government and say, "Hello, CIA, I seen some bubble in the sky." What can I do with this?
Well, I think there's a couple of things you can do with it. Number one, depends on what the situation is. I mean, if you just see something, MUFON is an excellent source for that. You can report that because we don't take reports at all as an organization. We already past the point where these people have obviously seen something and have been involved with something, but now they need help in a different way. So it really depends on what you're, if you've had an experience yourself, then yeah, you can come see us and we can certainly help you.
yeah, I'll have all his links down below in the descriptions if you want to go and check out his website and YouTube. I think you go to Facebook, Instagram, and all that stuff. I'll have it all down below. That's great that you guys have support groups because, a lot of people are afraid to come out. But hopefully maybe with shows like this, maybe it will kind of encourage people to speak out and reach out and get support that they need. Because like you said, I think most of us have had. Some of us might not remember exactly, but I think most of us have had something that we can't explain. So
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I thank you guys for what you do because it's very important that you're providing a service for humanity, basically, to get the word out that these kind of things are happening. And, if you are having experiences, there's places for you to reach out to, like ourselves. So, but thank you.
Yeah, I guess this is our mission, to get this stuff out there, like you said, going back to a little bit earlier, we have the time now, most of us, I think we're all, well, Robert's not retired, but he's getting there. But, for those of us who are retired, we have the time now to sit and think, and really go through things, and we're not so busy work anymore. You can take the time to process things as well and figure things out. And so, this is definitely my mission. So,
Well, good.
Well, a lot of people are really confused of what to do. I know I was just before the show, I was telling Nina, I says, hey, I remember one time I was sleeping in bed and woke up. I had a big cut on my head. And I had no idea where it come from. Would the pillow cut me or something? I don't know. Where did that time go? I remember I'm going in my truck one time. I turned on the radio and shut my eyes for a second, and the whole show that I wanted to listen to was over, and I don't remember. It freaked me out, and I'm like, I remember falling asleep, and I don't remember the show. It wasn't like I was in here.
All right, Robert, you've definitely had an experience.
Yeah,
like
I don't know.
I think most of us have. Mine is a little bit more, I do remember, except for the time lapse. I don't know where that time went, but I do remember this light in my room. Next thing you know, I wake up and I'm down on the bottom bunk in a kneeling position with tears coming down my cheeks. And I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, what happened? And then I crawl back up into my top bunk, go back to sleep. But, what happened there? So, yeah.
Let me ask you guys a question. When have you had experiences when you were young?
Yes, I was 7 with mine.
Okay. And how about yours, Robert?
No, nothing I can remember. Just those, few there.
One of the things we found in the Omega 3 study was that there was childhood conflict at a very young age in the family that opened up people to a dissociative method of handling what was going on with them that seemed to open them up to these kind of events happening, which is kind of interesting. Matter of fact, we are just in the process of finishing the second phase of the Omega-4 study. The first phase of the study is on our website as well, under the article and document section, where we've taken the therapists that have been working with experiencers and asked them a ton of questions. And some interesting findings came out of that, which again is on our site. But what we're trying to do is give therapists tools to work with these people in a better way. And we also are trying to bring on more therapists, because this thing, when it really does happen, where somebody stands up in front of the podium and that's got the title of president, says, yeah, they're here, we're working with them already, and there's going to be a lot of people coming out of the world that's going to need help. And so we're looking for more therapists, and we're looking for people to join us, whether you're a hypnotherapist, a mental health practitioner, and because I think, as they say, the shit's going to hit the fan.
I believe so. Yeah, I think this is going to be the year of disclosure. From the looks of it, they're gearing it up for it, and be a perfect distraction for other things that are going on, of course. But this is real. I mean, a lot of us have had a lot of experiences. There's no doubt, and there's been pretty naive to think that we're the only, life out there. I mean, that's pretty stupid. So,
Exactly.
no, this is real for sure. And so I'm glad that there's people like yourself that are out there providing support groups. And if there is people listening that are interested in joining up, whether you have, a doctrine behind you or whatever, find the links and join up. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it was great. So it's been almost an hour here already. And so I guess we're going to close her up. Do you have any last sort of words for people? Any advice?
Yeah. A couple of things real quick. Number one, we are on Facebook. We have a group. We have a page. We're on YouTube. You can go to OPUS, separate word network, and you'll see some of or a lot of the interviews that I've done there. We'd like you to subscribe, like the page, because the more people that sign up, we can monetize it a little bit better. Because as a nonprofit, we depend on donations, and so that's a factor. And then the book, The Unknown Other and the Existential Proposition of Alien Contact, which is on Amazon, which is really goes over a real overview of the whole phenomena from soup to nuts, if you will. I shouldn't say nuts, should I? But anyway, really, it tells a story about what these experiences are going through. And there's 25 stories in there from experiencers about what they've gone through. So I find it a very interesting read.
Awesome. Yeah. Any last words from you, Robert? Any last questions?
No, it's great. I think you said you wrote a book. I can't wait to go. It's on Amazon. I'm going to go buy that.
I just go under my name. You'll find it under my name, Lester Velez, and then you'll find it.
I'll put all the links
down
below. Yeah.
Can't wait. So sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, me too. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Lester.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. I guess that's all we got for you this week. Make sure you leave us a comment if you got any questions for Lester or whatever. Check out the links, obviously, for all his stuff, all our stuff. Make sure you subscribe, follow on all the different things. Hit that like before you leave, and we'll see you guys in the next one, everybody. Bye.
Take care.